Hello, everyone, and welcome to part one of a two-part game of Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands. This is a game that is played as part of the Happy Jacks RPG Network's community play program. So this is not part of the regular Happy Jacks actual play service. This is just a community game, and we're just doing this for fun. My name is Mike. My pronouns are he, him. I'll be the facilitator of this game. Um, a little bit about me. So I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. Started in the 80s. Played a lot of D&D in the 80s. Played a lot of GURPS in the 90s. Played a lot of D&D third edition and then Pathfinder in the aughts and teens. And then in 2015, I felt like I got buried under the weight of like both literally and figuratively of all of the Pathfinder hardbacks that I had acquired and burnt out as a GM. And stopped jamming for a little bit, then fell into a story games via a little game that kind of opened my brain to story games called Dungeon World, and I dove in head first and have been swimming around in the deep end of the story game pool pretty much ever since. Um, I started hanging out on the Happy Jacks network in I want to say late 2019. It was just before COVID. And I'm pretty active on the Happy Jacks Discord these days. Um, anyway, that's me. Let's just go around and do some quick introductions. Let's go clockwise as I have you on my um,
Green.
Zoom screen here. So, Chris, would you introduce yourself?
I'm Chris, he, him. Uh, I've listened to Happy Jacks at least once, and I have a shockingly similar gaming history to Mike. My first game was Black Book Traveler from 1979. I moved to Dungeons and Dragons second. I moved to 3, 5, and 4th edition. I found Dungeon World in about 2019, and now I've played everything.
Cool. Welcome aboard. And Alex, would you say hi
Hi, just kidding.
and
My name's
and
Alex,
introduce yourself?
pronouns him, and I've played a couple games on the Happy Jacks Discord now, mostly with Mike, but also some other people. So very happy to play another one, especially a game I've never played before. I don't remember when my first. I guess if I go like all the way back, there was like some really crappy D&D module when I was in high school. But it was like yeah, it was like kind of like 3.5 edition, and I had no idea what I was doing. And then I basically just played a bunch of computer RPGs for a really long time until COVID happened. And then I needed stuff to do at the gym. So I started watching role-playing videos, and I was like, that looks like fun. I want to do it too. So now I've played like hundreds of different narrative games. So I want
Fantastic.
to play more.
So fantastic. Welcome aboard, folks. So the name of the game is Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands. This is a game by Vincent and Meguey Baker, who were the authors of Apocalypse World that started the whole Powered by the Apocalypse kind of like role-playing game revolution back in 2010. Um, the Bakers consider this a PBTA game, although it is very different from standard. Um, this actually launched its own like game design movement. Games based on Firebrands are called like Firebrands Framework is the unofficial name. Firebrands games are they're GM-less, so I'm facilitating this game. I'm not a game master. It's diceless. And the way this game works is the game consists of a bunch of mini games. You can kind of think of the mini games as like extended PBTA style moves that have a certain procedure that you do. So basically, so the way the game is going to, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with a CATS discussion. CATS stands for concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, and it's kind of a story game ritual. This is kind of like the elevator pitch of the game to make sure we're all here to play the same game. So, Mobile Frame Zero Firebrands is a GM-less, diceless story game about the messy personal lives of young mech pilots fighting in an undeclared war to control the resource-rich Bantreash system. Each player chooses a faction that they work for and then creates a character based on that. The game focuses on the messy interpersonal relationships between these pilots, both on and off the field of battle. The aim of this game is to create messy entanglements between these characters and tell the exciting and compelling story of friendship, romance, and or rivalry between them. We're playing to see how their relationships develop and grow and change over the course of play. We will end we'll end the game when we've agree that we have come to a satisfying conclusion. I've scheduled this to do basically 2 3-hour sessions, so that'll hopefully give us a little more time to breathe. The tone of this game it's a dramatic game about young people with big feelings. It is also a war story. I would like to try to keep this. I'd like to try to keep the tone of this game mostly serious, because we are at war and characters that we create are probably going to die. Probably not our protagonists. We'll be creating additional like side background characters. Some of them are probably, if we get to the fighty moves, which we almost certainly will, there are some times where you have to make some, there are some times where you have to, choose which of your established soldiers isn't going to make it. So to that context, I'd like to keep the drama high, a sense of danger in place, but I also want to keep open the excitement and possibilities of interpersonal relationships. As the game states, this is a game about fighting your friends, allying with your rivals, and kissing your enemies. The subject matter of this game deals with themes of war. So death, betrayal, rivalry. Other subject matters of this game include romance, duty, sacrifice, possibly sexuality. So we're going to set up some lines and veils. I'm going to ask, especially if we get into romantic entanglements, let's please be consensual and keep our lines and veils in mind at all times. And just a note about gameplay: this is a GM-less, diceless game. Character is going to be choosing mini games to play. And we'll go over that a little bit when I get into the rules. So that is the cat's discussion. That is the high level elevator pitch of the game. Any questions before we move on? Hearing none. The next thing I want to talk about is emotional safety at the game table. So we're a bunch of people that mostly know each other from the internet. We're getting together to play a game. The purpose of this little endeavor we're doing is to have fun. Each of us individually is more important than this game we're playing. So we're going to be using a set of nested safety tools that are going to allow us to focus on the fun. Because there's some things that we may want to we're each of us are bringing a different set of life experiences to this table, and some things that might be fun for me to play with in a game setting, you might not want to play with. Using safety tools will allow us to put some bounds around what we want to play with, put some marks on things we don't want to play with, and to have a tool to get us out of danger if we start going to a place where one or more of us don't really want to go. So the first and most basic of the safety tools we're going to be using is called the open door policy. This one just means we are all here of our own accord, and we can all leave when we want. We are all free to come and go from this game as we please. Anyone can step away from this game for any reason and step back when they are ready. If you need to take a bio break, say, hey, I'm stepping off camera for a sec, and go take a bio break. Or if you need a glass of water, or if you get an important phone call, or if your dog jumps on the table and knocks over a vase of flowers, hey, that's real life. That takes precedence over the game. Go take care of it. We are all empowered to come to the conclusion that this game really isn't for me, and I'm not having a great time, and I think I'm going to go do something else. And if that's the case, we'll say, cool, sorry, this game wasn't really your thing. Hope you can play something more to your liking in the future. That's the open door policy. Any questions on that? The next tool we're going to play with is called Lines and Veils. Lines and Veils is a proactive safety tool that was originally written by game designer Ron Edwards for his game Sorcerer back in the late aughts. With Lines and Veils, we're going to call out specific subject matters that we either don't want to deal with at all, or only want to deal with in a very limited fashion. If a subject is lined, that means it is not going to happen in the game. We're not going to, like, none of us are going to include it. We're not going to talk about it. It's just not going to be there. Subject is veiled. That means we can acknowledge that it happens. We could, see signs that it happened or hear reports that it happened. It's not going to happen on camera, and it's not something we're really going to dwell on. That was the original Lines and Veils. Since then, there have been a couple of other categories that people have added. The next one is Ask First. If you've marked something as an Ask First, that means this is a subject that you may be okay with and under some circumstances and not okay with and under others. So before we introduce a subject that has an Ask First tag, we're going to pause the game, step out of character, just put some bounds around it, or just say, hey, I want to introduce this because of that. Is this okay? And assuming everyone consents, we can add it. And if not everyone consents, we just won't do it. We'll treat it like a lot. We'll treat it more like a veil. There's an interested column. If there's a subject that you particularly want to make sure that we hit in the game, mark it as an interest. And I, as a facilitator, and the rest of you as players, will hope can try to deliberately bring that up if it seems appropriate. And finally, there are some subjects that are inherent to the game, which means they're kind of baked into the assumptions of the game. Might be hard to we can certainly veil them and not play with them. Might be hard to line them. I'm just going to tell you up front. This game has 3 inherent subjects that are sometimes lined or veiled, and I'm just going to say them. This game deals directly with colonialism and imperialism. This game deals directly with intra-party conflict. Your characters are going to come into conflict with each other. That's part of the game. And this is a war story, so war is an inherent subject matter of this game. Other subjects we're going to talk about between ourselves, but I'm going to pause the recording so we can talk about that just between ourselves. Okay, we have established our lines and veils. Next thing I want to talk about is a reactive safety tool called the X card. If anything happens in the game that makes you feel uncomfortable in a bad way, you can invoke the X card. You can say X card. You can make an X gesture on screen. You can type it on our Zoom chat, or you can just say, "Hey, folks, could we talk about that?" Anything like that means we're going to pause the game. We're going to step out of character. We're just going to have a discussion about the content that we're going to have a discussion about the game and what content you aren't cool with. So we'll pause the game. We'll have an out of character discussion. We're kind of informally using another safety tool called script change to figure out what we need to do. So we can either cut the offending thing out, rewind the scene, and replay the scene without that. We could end it there and just move forward, fast forward to the next scene. We could pause the game and go through very deliberately frame by frame to make sure that we're, that everyone is cool with it, or we can do something else. We'll figure that out of character as we move things and then we'll figure out how to fix it. You can X card anything that happens in the game that you are not comfortable with. That could be anything from other players took the eyes off the ball and we are heading toward a line or veil. That does occasionally happen. If you notice that we're doing that, please invoke the X card. We'll right the ship and send things off into the correct direction. It could be something really trivial, I've introduced an NPC that was the name of the bully that used to beat you up when you were in 3rd grade, and you absolutely can't stand that name. Hey, X card. We can call that NPC something else. They don't exist. They don't care what we call them. Or anything in between. If you think someone has introduced an element that you think is off tone or doesn't really mesh with our established fiction, go ahead and X card it. We'll have an out of character discussion about it to see if that's an element that we either want to include or modify or not include at all. That's X card and script change. Anyone have any questions? Okay, cool. This isn't exactly a safety thing, but if something happens to me and I go dark and I drop out of the internet connection or I take my set off, look concernedly to my left, and walk off camera without explanation, and I'm not back for 10 minutes, assume something has happened to me and that the game is off. I'll try to contact you via Discord or email or something to let you know what's going on. But that usually what that would mean was I lost power or I lost internet. Doesn't happen very often, but I can't say it's never happened. So if I'm gone for 10 minutes, take the rest of your night, go do something else. We'll circle back later. Okay, so two other things I want to look at on our safety sheet are so this is a game that can often move into romance. So over on our safety sheet, kind of a little to the left, underneath the cats discussions, I've got so I got two sections here. I've got a romance section. So if you want to go ahead and put your player name in there and let us know if it is okay. Let us know if you are okay or not okay with romance scenes. Your choices are yes, no, or ask first, or put in some notes. Why did that go green? Why did that go green on select? Oh well. Yeah, messed up with conditional formatting. Oh well. So I'm going to say with PCs, I want to ask first. I'm okay with romancing with NPCs. Looks like Alex said the same.
I'm okay with PC romance. You know what? I'm fine with whatever.
Okay.
Whatever happens, we'll talk through it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and
oh, there
get
it
you on
is. For
in
whatever
there.
reason, I couldn't find that.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, it's in column. It's in.
I got it.
As I was going to say, it's in J54. Okay, cool. And we already said we established off camera that before we started recording that everyone was cool with recording. So I am recording. So we are recording this. So yeah, I guess we don't have to bother putting it on the safety sheet because we talked about it at a time. Cool. I think that concludes our safety talk. Any questions before we move on? Okay. So I'm clicking over to the game background. I'm just going to read this kind of like for the just so that I'm going to go over this slowly just so that we're all cool with it. And also so that anybody who might actually, any of the, dozen or so people who may be watching this video after I post it, like know what we're talking about. So, this is text that comes straight out of the game. The year is SC0245. Humanity is spread throughout the Milky Way using transit gate technology to colonize the galaxy. Mobile frames are the hard-working, hard-fighting combat and labor mecca that humanity has brought with them. You are a romantic ace mobile frame pilot caught up in a dispute for the future of the Bantreash system. Now, the Bantreash system is not at war. Bantreash was never, until recently, a wealthy colony. The planet had resources enough to maintain its own small society, but had nothing really worth exporting. There was never a need for the corporate sponsors of its initial colonization to interfere with its administration. In the halls of the Solar Union Commerce, land shares for Bantreash traded for nothing. No cost, no gain. You might throw all your land holdings in the Bantreash system as a joke bet on your golf game, or give it away, or give it as a joke gift. Recently, though, there was a minor development in an obscure biochemical processing technology, and the novel features of Bantreash's ecosystem went from being a scientific curiosity to an untapped and unknowingly deep wellspring of wealth. With the discovery of crystalline Bantreash, land shares on Bantreash are no longer an ignored asterisk on anybody's balance sheet. They hand over administration and power from the descendants of Bantreash's original Terran colonists to the newly interested legal rights holders, the self-proclaimed landowners, has been cheerful, orderly, and mutually profitable. There have been a few isolated spats, of course, but there has been practically no protracted, bitter, bloody war of resistance between the displaced Bantreash aristocracy and the off-world landowners. Because when a landowner uses the threat of violence to force a hereditary great family to give up their land, keeping them on as mere guides or entertainers, it's cheerful. When they offer them in exchange a negligible sum, it's mutually profitable. When a fire recovery company of Bantreash irregulars respond by raiding their holdings and seizing arms and material against future battles, and when local revolutionaries take advantage of the upset by forcibly occupying a biochem processing facility, and then the landowners respond with brutal crackdowns and martial law, these are just a few isolated incidents. Because to admit otherwise would be to invite the intervention of the Terran transit authorities, mediation and peacekeeping forces, and if that happened, nobody but the TTA could make any money off of the Bantreash system. That is the situation. In this game, PCs are going to be members of one of three factions: the Bantreash, the Landowners, or the Revolutionaries. We need at least one player from every faction. So I will choose last. I'm just gonna go over who the factions are. So the Bantreash. The Bantreash are the aristocratic families of Bantreash. You are a hereditary warrior prince or princess of a noble family, a mobile frame ace pilot, and a mobile frame ace pilot. The off-world landowners, as they call themselves, have robbed you of your wealth and your estates. You've been raised to believe that the wealth of Bantreash belongs to the Bantreash. Bantreash of the same family are your friends. Bantreash of different families are your rivals. Both the landowners and the revolutionaries are your enemies. At character creation, you're going to pick three attractive qualities from a list. Bantreash, you choose a name and choose a family name. Mobile frames are the walking combat and labor mecha that humanity brought with it to colonize the galaxy. Your mobile frame is a military model, probably a chub, custom built for you personally. It is armed and armored in grand style, kitted out with heraldic insignia and the colors of your house. Your soldiers are your siblings, your cousins, and your household guard. Think of your soldiers as knights, retainers, and noble warriors. That is the Bantreash. Faction 2, the Landowners. The Landowners are, according to the Solar Union law, the rights holders to the wealth of the Bantreash system. You are a mobile frame ace pilot employed to defend and secure the landowners' rights. The landowners, their soldiers, and their officers are all your friends. Officially, the Bantreash are your rivals, but when fights break out, they're really your enemies. And the revolutionaries are also your enemies. So you'll choose three attractive qualities about yourself from a pick list. Choose a name. As a landowner, you would also choose a company name, a unit designation, and or a squad call sign. You are also a mobile frame ace pilot. Your mobile frame is an advanced high-end military model, probably an Osprey, armed and armored to your exact specifications, bearing the insignia of your company and rank. Your soldiers are like you, professional warfighters employed by the landowners. Think of them as a military unit under your command. And finally, the revolutionaries. The undeclared war between the Bantreash and the landowners is an opportunity for the common people of Bantral to unite and rise up. You are a revolutionary captain, mobile frame ace pilot, fighting for the freedom from both hereditary tyranny and off-world oppression. It is your opinion that the wealth of the Bantral should belong to the people of Bantral. While both the Bantreash and the landowners are your enemies in principle, some of their more sympathetic individuals, families, and squads are actually are in effect your rivals or friends. And while in principle the revolution itself is made entirely of your friends, in practice it also contains rivals and enemies. Choose 3 attractive qualities from a different pick list. Choose a name. Also say what you do. Because you're not generally openly a revolutionary, because that would be a good way to get yourself dead. So tell us what you do when you're not. Tell us what you do when you're not hanging out with the rebels fighting for liberation. Choose something that would bring you into regular contract with the Bantreash, the landowners, or both. As I said, you are even as revolutionaries, you are a revolutionary ace mobile frame pilot. Your mobile frame is a repurposed labor model, probably a high leg or a commissar, much repaired, much modified, armed and armored with mismatched and makeshift systems, with no insignia, except perhaps a symbol of uprising, justice, or liberty. Your soldiers are your fellow revolutionaries, working people committed to fight for their own rights and self-determination. Think of them as your friends and colleagues, pushed into a desperate corner. So, those are our 3 factions. Want to click over to the pilots tab on our character keeper. I'll have you, like everyone, please pick a column. Put your player name and your pronouns under the player name, and then pick a faction. The thing is, we only have 3 players. We have a 4th who was supposed to be here who couldn't make it for some reason. If he does join in, we would have like 2 players of one faction and 1 player each of the other 2. So Alex, do any of those, which of those factions most appeals to you?
Yeah, I can't. I'm having trouble deciding between. I want to try to challenge myself and either be a landowner or a Bantreash, but I'm
I
kind
was
of
looking
split.
pretty hard at Bantreash.
Okay, well that makes it easy for me. So,
Okay. And
so you can be a rebel, Mike.
I'll be a rebel.
Hmm.
Okay, and my faction. And so go ahead and pick your faction. That's going to autofill a few things. Pick 3 traits from the appropriate pick list.
Here it is. I found my favorite. The fan beam saber
Yeah, so
name generator, if you want it.
nice. Yeah, so if you have an idea for an image, you can go ahead and pop a URL to an image into the character and the mech image link, and that will replace the filler art with whatever you pick. And if you want to take a moment to figure that out, I need to figure this out.
This generator's pretty good, Chris. I'm probably gonna use it.
It's my favorite. I have just generated a perfect name where the
I am
characters.
following that link.
Garland is pretty good.
Here we are. Bean Saber Community Name Generator. Cool.
Here it is. Okay.
That will work. This looks like a toy. That's okay. Okay, looks like we've got a okay, so it looks like we've got our cast of characters. Um, I will be playing Sierra Talos, she, her. Um, she is dashing, idealistic, and inspiring. Her occupation is a biomechanical field mechanic. Um, so she's an expert she's basically an expert technician in the for the biochemical processing facilities that the Bantreash and the landowners use to process crystalline Bantrafil. Um, so as a consequence, because she knows the factories and whatnot, she's regularly coming into contact with landowners and Bantreash. Um, Chris, would you introduce us to your character? Just really high level.
Uh, it's all right. For
If
some
you're ready,
reason, I always.
if you're ready.
Oh, I absolutely can.
Mhm.
August Kornos is a Bantresh noble who is beautiful, fiery, and cultured. Known before the war, of course, as a premier curator of the National Opera. They are now, of course, nobly taking up the cause in their mobile frame, the imprudent maximum, and fighting for the rights and dignities of the Bantresh.
And Alex, who are you playing?
I will be playing Garland Equinox of the Landowners faction. He is conflicted, clever, and fashionable. I think my idea for Garland is that he really bought the propaganda that this was about, like, oh, these contracts were signed, everybody agreed to them. I think he wants to go to school, like to become like a military history professor. So it's like, I'm just gonna sign up for this one contract and they'll pay for my schooling and everything, and it'll go great. And now everybody hates him and throws garbage at him. His squad has to protect the biochem facilities from these revolutionaries. So he's really conflicted about it. Like, why am I here? But he's kind of stuck because he signed on the dotted line and everything. The company name is Cerberus Armored Solutions, colloquially called the Titans, and his call sign is Warden. And his mech mobile frame is a Fencer Mark 8, which again belongs to the company, not him.
Love it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention my mech is or my mobile frame is a Mastodon Type B labor frame. Um, but it's been heavily modified. It, it's been heavily modified with like several like bolted on, soldered on,
Hmm.
welded on various oddball weapons and defensive systems. It
Hmm.
doesn't look like a combat unit, but it is a combat unit now.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, so the way this game works is well, click onto the games overview uh, tab. There are a number of mini games that you can choose from to play, and we're going to start each of us we're going to like play a round of solitaire. So solitaire is a game that you can play by yourself while other people are, like, if two people are like directly engaged in something, you can like go on to solitaire and just kind of like play it by yourself. It's basically it's like a choice of leading questions with some story prompts. Um, I like to start MFZ Firebrands with each of us like just picking a solitaire prompt and just like giving us a little vignette of what of what our character is like, just so that each of us can establish a little bit about our history. Um, Another thing about solitaire, so you play by yourself. Again, we'll do this on camera, just so that the other players get you yourself get to know your character a little more, and the other players can get a little sense of what your character is like. Um, when you do this, like just make some notes about this is an opportunity to like flesh out your character a little bit. Um, Mention things that other people might notice. Um, And after you've kind of like, narrated the scene, there may be events, something, news, gossip, intelligence that other people have heard because of like what you've established in your solitaire scene. So after your scene is over, go ahead and say what that is that other characters may have heard about. Um, I am happy to go first to like I am happy to go first. So anyway, so that's the game's overview. If you go to the game chooser tab, um, I'm gonna let myself go first just because I'm facilitating. So I'm gonna start to just kind of like set an example so that folks understand what's going on. So set yourself, so the current player, and I'm going to start, and then we're just going to go clockwise around. So like I'll go, and then Chris will pick a game, and then when your game is over, then Alex will pick a game. I'm thinking we'll probably have enough time to to do solitaire, and then one or two other games, depending on how involved they get in our allotted time. So you pick your game, and with the exception for all of the games except solitaire, it's going to autofill with the rules of the game. So we're just going to like follow the procedure. Solitaire is a little different because your prompts are different depending on your faction. So the solitaire prompts are on the solitaire tab. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and pick one. Like while I'm doing a quick read here, go ahead and like look at your own prompts. So when it comes to you, you can pick one. So basically, there's a setting. So with each of the solitaire prompts, there is a situation, and then for each situation, you have a choice of three ways that it could go. Um, I'm gonna go with. I am gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the first prompt. So my prompt is You've been quietly building support among the people of the region, and some of your colleagues are getting restless to strike. So, so Sierra is a she's a I think she's a team lead. She certainly knows how to do the technical stuff, but she's like almost like the union steward of other members of the technicians who work at the crystalline Bantreash processing facilities. And I think she's called basically and I think the cover story she does to like get with other members of the revolutionaries is it's under cover of like a union meeting. Um, there's like, there's like a special phrase that's used to indicate this isn't really a union meeting. This is a meeting of people who are involved in more than just the union. And so I think it's in the back room of a it's in like the back room of a bar that's run by the common folk. It's a kind of bar that neither the Bantreash nor the landowners tend to go to. It's very much a local place. Um, I guess a Bantreash might go to this kind of establishment if they were slumming it, but this isn't really the sort of place that like a military official or like a member of the aristocracy would normally go. And it's in a back room, and she's like, I think she's like standing at the front of the room, and there's like a bit of commotion. There's probably about a dozen people there. Um, People are wearing uniforms from various different processing facilities, and a few people that aren't connected with that at all. And there's a bit of a heated art. There's a heated discussion. She's trying to keep this meeting in order. Folks, we got to calm down. We are out of order. Uh, yeah, Josephus, go. And an older person is probably in his, probably like the player's age, stands up and he says, like, we can't stand for this any longer. Those damned off-worlders, they are demanding us to up our production again and again and again. Their demands are unsustainable. We need to kick those sons of bitches off our planet now. We need decisive action. We need to make a statement. And then there's you know there's a round there's several people applaud, but a couple of people jeer. And she says, like, look, I know we need to take action. We need a plan. We can't just lash out. And before this, we need to make overtures with some of the other. We need to make some overtures to the Bantreash. There are some who are more or less on our side. I'm trying to line up, and then she kind of gets shouted down, and the meeting doesn't go particularly well from there. That is my solitaire scene. Looking back at Game Chooser, I'm going to say that there was probably some gossip that came out, and that I think there's a rumor going around that I think there's a rumor going around that the the local labor unions are not happy with the production quotas that have been set, and there is talk of a strike. That is my solitaire scene. Let's go clockwise. Let's go clockwise around. Chris, would you pick a prompt and just narrate a little scene to let us know a little bit more about your character?
Let me just. Uh, okay. I think we see. There's so many good options. I should have been reading these, but I was listening to yours.
That's fine.
Hmm. Man, there are a lot of good stuff here. I think we open to uh August acting as head of the clan of their noble family at a negotiating table with a similar representative of the landowners and the revolutionaries. Well, probably just the landowners at this stage. And they are trying desperately to hash out a more favorable, like trying desperately to explain that the quotas are unsustainable, to explain that uh, everything that could be done would be more easily done with the hand of someone familiar with the world of Bantrell. That they would be that that the Augusts would be willing to serve this role if they were properly compensated. And every time being completely stonewalled, the landowners just not even willing to budge on the production targets. We get the sense that this is a second generation landowner in that they bought the stock after someone else who had been who they they bought it from someone who bought it for pennies and made a killing, and this person is dead set on getting exactly their money's worth and as much extra as possible and just not willing to move.
Cool. Is there any fallout that the other characters would have heard about from this meeting?
I think I think a rumor goes around that uh, Clan August is falling out of favor. I think they that the landowners in general are now pulling back from my specific clan of the Bantreash and looking elsewhere for resources.
Got it. Cool. Okay, Alex, why don't you go ahead and pick a prompt and give us a solitaire seed.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of what looks like to be a propaganda video with like really stirring music of a Cerberus armored patrol around a biochemical processing facility. And, we see these shiny, sophisticated military mechs making their way in formation around the facility. And we see some of the locals waving at them and cheering and everything. And, like someone is like, join up today and make a brighter future for Bantreash. Um, However, that cuts out as somebody throws like a rock at this big screen that's on the side of the processing facility, and it cracks because what actually is happening is outside of the processing facility that's probably owned by that landowner who was in the last scene. There's a little bit of a confrontation, almost a riot going on, as like one of the grab trucks that's supposed to process the crystalline Bantreash is stalled at the gate by this big crowd of people waving, signs and placards that were like, reduce the quotas, a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, we want more time off, stuff like that. And there's a small squad of these mechs that are just like they've got their shields up and just like constantly clanging with the sounds of rocks and bottles and stuff being thrown. Um, and one of the pilots, Glyph, who's the youngest, looks over to her commander, Garland, and she's like, what should we do? Like we have to get this truck moving. And he's like, just let me think. Please disperse. We have to. And then one of the other mechs, a lighter, more mobile one, from the pilot's name is Tungsten Tangent, and he looks like he's about to like take his leg and like sweep them out of the way. And then Garland takes his shield and is like, "Whoa, what are you doing? These people are the workers at this facility. We can't hurt them." So it doesn't actually end up in violence. They're able to disperse them eventually. But it takes the better part of the afternoon. Their bosses get really super mad at them that the quotas are slowed down. And I think a lot of people observed what happened, that this tactic was effective, and there's some dissent within the squad. And that's probably, the factory workers are spreading that around. And the bosses are super pissed about it.
Awesome. Well, so thanks, folks. That was a round of Solitaire. I'm looking at the time. It is we're about halfway through our allocated time. Let's take a 10-minute break, or I guess a 12-minute break. Let's come back at 5 minutes after the hour.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. See you then. And we're back. Okay. So we've had a Solitaire scene. We've established a little bit about our characters. Got some rumors that are out there that are going around, and I think it's going to go back to me. And I'm gonna. And now we're getting into the actual nitty gritty of how this game works. So on our character keeper, there's a game chooser. That's going to be the game we are actually playing. If you want to take a look at how the other games are structured, you can hop onto the game review tab, and that is more or less the same thing. So you can like pull up any of those mini games and just see how it goes out. Still, if you've got a moment, you can do that to help figure out like what the next game you might want to play. The game's overview tab is like the high level. It's like the high level summary of what the kind of game is about. So I'm going to go with, on game chooser, current player is me. I am going to pick a conversation over food. So, and we're just going to follow the instructions of the minigame. So with setup, so with a conversation over food, this is a one where the player picks one other player to be primarily in the scene with. The third player other players can join the scene if it makes sense. So I think I am going to have this scene with Chris. Your character is August. Oh, you know what? It's going to take a quick moment. Let's put your. Can you put your character names on your on Zoom?
Good call.
Oh, sure.
Just hit rename, and put your character name, and then maybe a type character, and then your name and your character's pronouns. Cool. Okay. Um, so so this is going to be a conversation. So this is going to be a conversation over food. Um, I think we are. I think we're sitting down together at a public restaurant, bar. It's probably not and I think it's the kind of place that like workers would normally go to. So I think you might be a little bit out of your element. Um, so I'm setting I'm s- so I'm setting the scene here. I'm going to ask you, how did the two of us come to be eating together here?
And you're
And I'm the
the
revolutionary,
revolutionaries?
and I'm
Yes.
thinking you may not know. I'm gonna, I don't know if your character knows I'm with the revolutionaries. But
Oh, ooh, that's fun.
you don't necessarily know that I'm with the revolutionaries. You do know that I am a high ranking, I'm, you know, you do know that I basically, I'm an employee of one of the of I'm an employee of I'm an employee of a factory that until the landowners arrived was under your family's control, and the landowners have assumed control.
Of course.
So I think you know me as, like you know me as like, as a senior technician or a senior technician manager or
Sure.
something like that.
And of course my cousin who was running the factory before the landowners has taken uh are you de facto, like, you're not in charge, but you're the
I think I think I have a supervisory position within the factory, but I am not in charge of the factory.
and of course my cousin who was in charge of the factory has vanished.
Ooh, I like that.
Hmm.
I like vanished more than killed, actually, because
Yeah, I
it
like
might be
that. They
I
disappeared.
there's it's a productive ambiguity.
But
But
yeah, it's
you knew
like
my cousin. The person you worked with was never me. It was my cousin, and I
but
think you're just the only person left that would like. Hmm.
maybe I'm one of the I like maybe I'm one of the highest ranking people that once the landowners took over the facility. Maybe I'm one of the they kept on some of the workers, but they replaced all the management team with their own. And maybe I'm one of the highest ranking people that had been there under the old regime.
You might
Maybe.
have had some special skill or something, or
Yeah. I'm the only person who knows how this particular processing thing like really works.
Well, see, but the landowners wouldn't know that. They would just let the factory destroy itself.
Well, then again, the landowners, they want, they're mainly here to like, they're mainly here to like,
Well, sure, but that
get the
doesn't mean they're
stuff.
competent.
well, I also feel like you said that this is maybe like the second landowner who bought this factory. So something might have fallen through the cracks, right? And
Oh,
through
ooh.
transition. So you were maybe supposed to get fired, but no one actually got around to
Something,
it.
something revolution, something, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pulled some strings
Yeah.
elsewise.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm still at the factory, although I go around to like a couple of the different factories.
Is this like
You know,
a private dinner or is this like a mess hall
I'm
situation?
I'm thinking this is like I'm thinking this is probably like I don't think this is a mess hall. I'm imagining this is like, I'm
Oh no,
imagining
you've
this
been
is like a
granted an
restaurant.
audience.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've been granted
Or
an audience. Okay, I
not
was thinking
not quite, but like I get the sense that that
I
August would not
would not have come.
usually be meeting with you.
Oh, I don't think you would have. I was thinking that I made the would it be cool if I had made the overture?
Oh, please.
I had sent a message and asked you to meet me here.
And I
Is
completely
that cool?
ignored that message, and then 3 weeks later sent my own invitation that had nothing to do with that.
Love it.
So,
So the way this conversation works, so the next question is What do we notice about each other? What have you heard? So, so I think Sierra is, she's not, I don't think she's not dressed in, she's not dressed formally at all. I think she's dressed nicely, but I think to make sure you know who she is, I think she is wearing I think she's wearing like a company like not a worker's jacket, but she's wearing like a she's like wearing a somewhat casual jacket that has the name of the the name of the processing facility on it. It might be it's not exactly part of a uniform, but um, it's kind of like half uniform, half half practical, and it looks nice.
Hmm.
It's well maintained. It's well taken care of. It's clean. This is not the sort of thing you would never normally like wear on the job, but it is something you might wear to like a meeting with your supervisor to show that
Hmm.
like what part of the company you're with. And Sierra, she's probably in her late 20s. She's got dark hair. She's got dark hair. She wears it long. It's kind of like tied back in a practical ponytail right now. Um, and I think she's wearing otherwise she's wearing like she's kind of like business casual. Yeah, this isn't necessarily the thing you would wear on the factory floor or the thing that she would wear if she was like, on her back with a wrench trying to fix something.
Sure.
But, this is
She's dressed up to meet
she's
with
dressed up. She's dressed up
as
to meet
much
with
as
a
one can be without arousing suspicion.
exactly. She's dressed as nice as she could be, going to a moderate to high end restaurant for for like the regular working people.
Yeah.
This is not,
And you've been invited here, of course.
yeah,
So don't worry about the bill.
thank you.
I think you're even a little bit underdressed for the kind of place that this
I
is.
think that might be. I
More
think
than
that
a
might
little.
be.
You're wearing your blackest uniform, which is at least it's got no stains.
Yep. Oh, is this the kind of thing that you would expect to be with this? This is the kind of thing that, you would normally expect to be wearing evening wear and you showed up in a business suit.
Yeah, I think that is the deal, yeah.
Okay.
Uh for his part, August is obviously wearing a beautiful velour suit. Like if not, oh God, what is the no, it's red velvet. Of course it is.
Of course.
What is if you set this meeting, what is this meeting about?
Right. So ostensibly she wanted to talk about you know, she wanted to talk about she wanted to talk about the demands that the off-worlders are putting on the factory. This factory had been under your family's control, um, and the demands from the off-worlders are completely unreasonable. We
Of
aren't going
course,
to be able
of
to make
course.
the completely unreasonable quotas that they are demanding. Even if we worked three shifts, even if we did forced
Yeah, of
overtime,
course.
it's not going to
We
happen.
all knew this.
It's not going to happen. But they're not going to listen to us.
Of
They
course
might
not.
listen to you.
One would hope that these off-worlders would have such judgment, taste even. They don't. I promise that I've been negotiating on your behalf for months now, and I've gotten nowhere. And what's worse is I can't even appeal their better natures or really any sort of personal vices. There's too high of a turnover between these landowners. Seems we're a bit too much trouble. There's
Well,
very little I can do for you, but there may be something you can do for me.
oh, really?
You're in a
Oh,
position of,
and I'm gonna step out of character for just a
please.
sec to say so we've set
Oh,
the,
we're not. So
we,
I keep forgetting that there's like
there's some
rules.
there's some structure around this conversation.
Where?
So
Okay,
we're gonna
here
take
it
turns.
is.
I've basically I've established
Okay.
I've established a topic, and we're gonna basically take turns back and forth. And the way it works is on your turn, you can choose to um, continue to just have an improvised conversation on the topic at hand or change the topic, or you can ask one of those topical questions from the list. Um, so basically, they're generally of the state of the format of like use you know it states something that happens in the conversation and then has a question um, that you would pose of me, and that's kind of like an out of character question, and then kind of like
Okay.
respond. We'll kind of respond in character. Like for example, a topical question would be, I make an ignorant social or diplomatic blunder, and then you describe what it is. And the question is,
Okay.
do you let me recover gracefully, or do you hold it against me? Then I would say which I did, and then we would have like just like a little brief role play to get that out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then it would and then once we've established that, then it would be the next player's turn to again either have a like have a improvised conversation on the topic, ask a topical question, or you can pass and just talk about the food if we don't if
Yeah.
basically once everyone has
Okay.
passed, that's going to be the end of that's going to be the end of the mini game.
Okay.
Or at any time you can decide that if things play out in a given way that you take offense or like whatever, you can choose to leave the conversation for whatever, and that's basically that's going to basically over end it. If it would make appropriate sense in the narrative, the other player could conceivably enter the conversation if it
Mm,
makes appropriate sense.
I think how you'd established, I don't think so, but like
probably
maybe
not
in the
this scene,
background,
but good to
yeah,
know.
like
Yeah.
where the windows are for the outside,
Mm.
you kind of see the members of Server Squad hurriedly making their way. I think Scar has a map, and they're like really turned around, like they have to get somewhere, probably to be chewed out about what happened recently, and they're
Love
all
it.
squabbling that they got lost in the city. So.
Got it. So I established the topic where we were talking about like labor disputes, and we had some improvised conversation. So I think that kind of like came to a point where I'm gonna hand it over to you. So it's now your turn. If you'd like to continue the conversation, we can. If you would like to like respond with a topical question, we can do that.
Hmm. Uh, sure. I'm not feeling super inspired by the likely topics of discussion. I guess we've already established that I
Yeah,
have a missing cousin.
we've established you have a missing cousin. We've discussed that that there's labor unrest and that the landowners are making utterly unreasonable demands, uh, unreasonable production set like impossible to meet production quotas, and that the workers
Uh,
are afraid of what's going to happen if we don't meet these unreasonable quotas.
of course. I mean, my plan for where I was going with there is something you might be able to do for me is
Yes.
you, what would it take you to shut down the factory?
Okay. So if you wanted to go there, if you're looking at the topical questions, like I hope to
No, I
convince you.
think I want to take it
Nope,
somewhere else.
take something else. Okay.
I think I'm going to tip my hand that I know that you're a revolutionary
Ooh, okay.
just a little bit. So all everything I said is pretty much still in play. That
Okay.
like all of the I've been negotiating on your behalf for months. There's turnover among the landowners, yada yada yada. There is something I noticed that was rather odd over the course of these investigations.
Yes.
Surely, if my cousin, whose factory this is by right, had been in their possession, they would have used him as a bargaining chip by now. They've not mentioned him at all. Now, I've allowed you to be seated across from me because I suspect you may have more information about his whereabouts.
Hmm.
If there is anything you have noticed about the factory, or anyone you think I might talk to, please say something.
Out of character. Are you are you going for one of those topical questions? In which case, I'm not
So
sure
one of
which
them is
one.
literally someone's cousin has gone missing.
Okay, that's one of the likely topics. That's when we. Okay, so we're just going to. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Yep. So, okay, so I am going to respond. You suspect that I may have more information about the likely whereabouts of your cousin. I'm going to
Brackets
be on.
because you're a revolutionary.
Yeah, I don't. I'll be honest. I will be completely honest with you. We mostly like we well we preferred working with your cousin's management team. They knew us. They knew the capabilities of the factory. They knew the harvest cycle for they knew the harvest cycle of Bantreash, and we worked hard. We got paid. We got compensated mostly fairly. Things were mostly okay until those damned off-worlders came up. I gotta tell you, if I could bring your cousin back as manager of this plant, I would snap my fingers and bring him back. I am going to be honest with you. I think you're making an insinuation, but I honestly don't know where your cousin is. Although may have I may have an inkling, and it is possible that our interests are aligned here because I hope to convince you that if your family and members of my union were to combine forces, I have a sneaking suspicion that they aren't using your cousin as a bargaining chip. I think they are pumping him for information. Um, I think they are holding him. I think that the landowners are holding him um, um, at a you know at that new military facility that they have installed over in um, um, over in Hentax province. I um, I believe the designation is I believe the designation is Obsidian Alpha. And when you say Obsidian Alpha, and when she says Obsidian Alpha, you've heard of Obsidian Alpha.
Of
That's
course. Everyone's
basically
heard of Obsidian Alpha. It's
it's
floating
base
over the entirety of Hentax province.
Yeah, well, it's basically a prison. It's where they take political dissidents.
Yeah,
I think
it's a skills
it's
retraining
it's
facility
Right,
it's a
where
exactly.
they don't let you leave.
it's a re-education center. I think they're holding him there.
Hmm.
I think he's got information that he did not want to disclose, and they're pumping him forward. Because honestly, I would much rather have him in charge than them. I think our interests might be aligned, and I think if some of your forces and some of my forces combined forces, um, to strike that facility, I hope. And now I'm out of character. I'm hopping to one of the topical questions. I'm hoping to convince you that we should at least temporarily form an alliance to spring your cousin to like do a
And
jailbreak.
some other folks. Don't worry about
Oh
it.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Can't make
I
it
hope to
look
con
too targeted.
Yeah, exactly. I hope to convince you that we need to stage a jailbreak show of force. Can I?
I'm certainly not opposed to the idea, although I think I need a little bit more convincing as to how possible that is. And of course, the Bantrell or the Bantreash cannot be seen to be involved.
Hmm.
So the greater part of our materiel, which is so wonderfully ornate, can't be seen
Well,
to be involved.
well, um, as you know, there are forces at play. As you know that there are forces at play that um and there are certain factions that I may have some contacts with that may have access to, let's say, a little more firepower than your typical labor bot, than your particular labor than your typical labor frame. And if we had material support, or if you wanted some assistance making some of your equipment look more like some of our equipment, we could do a combined strike without tipping your hand. Because they know we're out there.
Hmm. I don't know how to tilt this. The scene ends here either way, right?
It can. I mean, we can continue having the scene.
Because
If
it,
we want to,
I mean,
I
we
mean, if
can.
if if we think the scene has come to the conclusion, we can.
It feels to me like that it would be. I have some things in mind that it would be better to punt to another scene
Sure.
because
So, okay.
I think the way this situation is wrapping up, step out a little bit.
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
way that this situation wraps up is that, like August's preferred solution would be to fund the revolutionaries doing like but we don't have the money for that. So this option of disguising our material as their material is interesting, but also, of course, there are all these particulars over how best to use this as a negotiating chip.
Yep.
And like there's all sorts of finer details that are not suited for
And and as players, we don't need to go into those
yeah.
details. In fact,
Mm,
I would recommend, like, for example, so I've set this scene.
yeah.
So I think the next scene would, and so if we're just like going clockwise around, if we're going to end the scene here, the next scene would be yours to frame. So you would like pick a game. If we wanted to just straight up like go into battle, you know, you might, this could just go straight into a tactical skirmish.
Well, I want to get Alex a little involved.
Well, I mean, oh, okay. Oh, that's only you and your chosen partner. Okay, yeah, that might be free for all, as just like big bat, because that's when all three of us like meet on the field of battle. And this could be like, big fight that breaks out by the big fight that breaks out by the prison facility. That's a possibility.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we smash cut to the prison break going bad.
Yeah, I wanted to do a chase, with
Ooh,
that.
Ooh,
that would also be cool.
yeah. I like that.
Like the prison break already happened and they're fleeing with your cousin into the wilderness and we're in pursuit or something.
Oh, I
I
love
like
it.
that.
Hmm.
That would also be really cool.
I like that a lot actually.
Um, we don't necessarily have to go like, order. It's just that, everyone
Yeah.
should set a scene before it comes back.
Because I feel like that might result in a battle or, something
Yeah, no, I'm
afterwards,
That's
happy to
depending
cool.
do
on,
I
chase.
like
yeah.
Also,
that.
is there a scene list?
There is.
Like,
If
is
you
there a
go to
Games
games,
minigame list
overview.
somewhere?
if you go to games overview, that shows the
Games
list of
overview.
yeah,
Okay.
that shows the list of the mini games, who they are played. So it's you
Okay,
and
thank you.
Hmm.
um, can others join in, and whether or not the scene is played in a mobile frame or in person, and just a brief description of like what the scene is, what the nature of the game is.
Yeah,
So there's
I
basic.
think I'll pass my turn to Alex. Well, not pass, but like
Okay.
You'll let Alex
shuffle the
go, and
order a
then
little bit and let
And
Alex
then
frame a
I'll let you have the
chase.
next one. Yeah.
okay,
Okay,
cool.
cool. Let me read that.
So we're gonna go to a chase.
Um, well, basically how you set it up, it sounded like Sierra's revolutionaries were the ones breaking the cousin out.
Yeah.
So you're okay with Mike being in the scene or
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. So I think this is a little, maybe a couple days or even a week after you guys had that conversation, and Cerberus squad, the Titans have been reamed out for all the problems at the biochemical facility. So we got reassigned to this prison, Echelon Alpha or whatever it's called. Like there's high value VIP there. Really don't screw it up this time. And we've been taking it seriously and doing like a lot more drills and everything, and feeling pretty good about it. But then suddenly there's just like probably this massive explosion and all these alarms blaring everywhere. And it's over the radio, there's just a lot of like shouting that this renegade is has escaped. Um, so yeah. So we're
That
the hunters, obviously, and the quarry is this cousin and the rebels who are helping him. But you can elaborate more on how the breakout happened, I guess.
Uh, is that me or Mike?
Well, I guess the
Now, is
question
it?
is, so I know we established in fiction that we were going to hit the facility,
Hmm.
and I think we established it was going to be like a combined, like it was going to be combined, but you were like going to we're
I
going to like we were going to like obscure the insignia on. We were going to obscure some of the insignia so it wasn't immediately obvious like which
yeah.
family.
Yeah, it's just a little weird because
Essentially
it says
to
all.
maintain like
Yeah.
Maintain a little plausible deniability.
yeah, for negotiation's sake.
So if we want to say that, so if we want to say that you're that I'm thinking that I was there in my mobile frame. You were probably there in your mobile frame, like
Yeah.
each leading our
Yeah.
respective forces in a combined effort.
And maybe you're
Um,
supposed to rendezvous with August people somewhere, but the actual chase part is like getting to that point.
I mean,
yeah.
there's a decent chance that August is like also leading the charge in their mobile frame, but
Yeah.
I mean, if we wanted to do the chase and say, if we want to establish in fiction that the battle's happened, you've grabbed your cut, like you've grabbed your,
oh,
maybe you've got.
I think there's a bit here that's like I like the idea of you. I like the idea of you going to a handoff with me.
Hmm.
Okay.
And then the battle happens.
And
Yeah.
I like the thing that I think we need to square is that like to what extent is this like a targeted prison break of just this like handful of people that happen to include my cousin, and to what extent are prisoners now running free?
Oh, I
And
think. Oh, I
like
Oh, I think there's definitely, we've blasted it open. We've like specifically liberated like the targets that we were there to do, but there was a prison break. There's a whole lot of like basically all of the prisoners are like trying to make a run for it.
So that's probably why there
Cool.
was some chaos too. Like, like we're trying to apprehend one specific person, but all these people are running in
Well,
chaos. And finally, we see that there's some mobile frames,
yeah,
making
to
their way
me,
in.
it almost makes sense to have like Garland be the kind of operator in this situation. Like you notice that they are
Mhm.
like this one specific mobile frame is tearing off in a way that like
Yeah.
just by instinct maybe. Like
Yeah, but it's you guys have made a significant distance. I imagine it's like snowing too. So,
Cool.
it took a while to catch this glint of light off in the distance off the snow. But maybe because Garland comes from a planet that is like that where it snows a lot, that he was the one who realized it. So we're trying to catch up to you, but you have a head
So
start.
So looking at the game,
Hmm.
at the setup, so it's only going to be you and the chosen partner. So it's going to be so this is going to be between August and Garland, I believe, is what we've established.
Well, I was saying
S-
Garland and Sierra.
Oh, Garland and Sierra. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 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 It'll be Garland and Sierra. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so
So
we're following after you, just like kunk, 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 kunk. I don't know if you played Final Fantasy VI, but when the opening scene where they're going to Narsh and in the snow, that's kind of what it looks like.
got it.
Um, and we're not super fast mechs because we're designed for defensive emplacements around these big facilities. So yeah, we're kind of just clomping along, charging up our weapons, kind of still squabbling with each other. That we're going to get it again. So where are you guys going? Like, where's the rendezvous point?
So I think the rendezvous point is probably in the hills. It's a particular. I think it's a particular. It's on the far side of a particular hill that's maybe a couple of miles from the facility. That was going to be the rendezvous point. Like, doesn't have line of sight, so it would be possible to like come around from the other side. Is that
Chris,
cool?
yeah, is your
yeah.
cousin grateful for this breakout, or are they like, just, of course they broke me out because I'm the noble and they're peons or whatever?
I think the vibe is very am I being kidnapped?
Yeah.
Like they say they're taking me to meet my cousins, but I don't
Yep,
you know, can't
makes
trust
sense.
anything.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, this wasn't this wasn't your family's mobile frame that did this wasn't your family's forces. These were the revolutionaries that broke him out.
And I
Is
think
he
he's a
afraid he's
little
going?
bit less
Is he
observant.
yeah, is he
Yeah,
afraid he's going from the frying pan into the fire?
for sure. Or ransom or
Mm.
something. So it says lead the hunter through a series of 4 challenges and admissions. Choose freely, except
Yep.
that the third one must be an admission.
So
So I guess you set up the
yeah, so
challenges and I do the
yeah, so
admissions.
yeah, so only you and your chosen partner play. Choose which is the hunter and which is the quarry. So I'm the quarry, you're the hunter. You're trying to
Yep.
catch me. You're trying to catch me before I get to the rendezvous point. Um, so the quarry conducts the chase. So that's me. First, say where you're going. Lead the hunter through a series of 4 challenges and admissions. Choose freely, except that the third one must be an admission. Um, and then we gain tokens. Oh, right. I forgot. This is a game where you actually have to flip coins.
Yeah.
Let me get a coin. I don't have one on me.
I
I'm
have
just gonna
oh no,
Google
I put them
flip
away.
a coin because there's a way you
I
can
have coins
you
if you want them. It's a dollar coin, heads or tails.
Okay. I'm gonna play one of my
Play.
trophy gold hunt tokens because I got them right here.
Now, is it 4 challenges and admissions or is it 4 challenges and 4 admissions? I think it's probably
It's going to
the
be
former.
it's a total of
Yeah. Okay.
4. It's a
Sounds
total
good.
of 4, but the third one must be an admission, and the admissions have higher stakes.
Mhm.
Okay, so I conduct this. So let's see here. Um, so I am heading to first say where you're going. So I think right now I am heading toward a I'm heading toward a small canyon. Um, yeah, I'm heading toward like I'm so I'm we are in our we've established we are in our mobile frames.
Mhm.
Um, Sierra's frame is she is going quickly overland to a ravine.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of like a box canyon with some, it's like a box canyon with like, like a bunch of side canyons. And I think it is snowing. I think we've established it's
Mhm.
winter here, so it's snowing. There's snow on the ground. She's going to go try to go down into the ravine, which does have water still flowing it. So hopefully she won't leave quite as much of a trail.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think, God, what did I call her frame? It's a Mastodon type B. So I think so it's kind of like, um, yeah. So it's mostly, it's mostly like yellow, because again, it was a labor unit.
Mhm.
Um, and I think on one of its arms has been, a large loader hand is still there, but
Mhm.
bolted to the back is like a heavy chain gun. Um, bolted to the bolted to the back of this frame is a rocket launcher battery, and I think bolted to the other arm is basically it's like a it's like an industrial heavy laser that's been souped the hell up to so that it's more or less the equivalent to a military laser. Oh, and the other thing that these kinds of frames don't usually have, she's got a rocket, she's got a jet boost jump, so it can't fly, but it can jump like 100 feet into the air,
Mhm.
and then like land well. So yeah, so after this, the mobile frame is running full tilt across this field, and then gets to the edge of this cliff and like you know jumps into midair, and then it's perhaps you perhaps weren't expecting jets to fire from its legs, and
Mhm.
it slowly descends into the ravine. And let's see, looking back to the game, I know
Yeah,
this
Glyph.
challenge. The challenge is I know this ground well. Follow me if you dare, but throw. On tails, you're plunging heedless into danger, and I need not choose an admission during the chase after all.
Yeah, I think Glyph is seeing all these maneuvers and she's like, that's definitely not regulation. Like I've read all the schematics on these factory mobile frames and they're not supposed to be able to do that. And then Tangent is like, well, obviously it did. So shut up and follow after it. You first, Chief. And yeah, I look down in this canyon and I'm kind of concerned because it's a very narrow ravine and we have these huge ass mobile frames. But I know that if I don't go in, then our contract is just going to be extended even more. We'll owe all this extra debt. So I sigh and we activate our own jump jets and we're going to try to go in. So I have to flip a coin and I got heads.
At heads, okay,
Yeah. So I think it's less graceful than you guys did. We literally like kind of smash our way through all these rocks, to like wedge ourselves down and just like there's just a huge splash of water and ice and rocks, and we start activating our scanners in this dark area to try to figure out, which way did they go? Let's try to cut them off.
okay. So,
And there's like a visual effect when the scanners activate. Obviously, like they spread all throughout the cannon and light it up, and all these orange lights and everything.
love it. So, okay, so that was the first challenge. So this is
Hmm.
going to be challenge number, and so that means I still must choose So that means I still must choose an admission
The third one, yeah.
on the third. Okay, so this is number two. Um, So as so she's so so she's like running through this box canyon. I think there's I think she does a power leap up to another ledge because she knows there's like she knows there's like a second canyon on the other side that yeah they connect but it's too narrow for a mobile frame. So she
Mhm.
hops up and then hops down again. I leap out over nothing and make a hard precarious landing. Um, Follow me if you dare, but throw. On heads, you gain a token. On tails, though, you barely catch yourself.
I think in order to clear the way again, like we're like, there she is, or there it is, after it. Stop. You have to apprehend that's escapee. So we're kind of like climbing up, like maybe we raise our arms and just like jet no grappling hooks kind of like shoot out and smash into the rock, and we kind of like have to climb up that way, belaying ourselves up, just like smashing into the rocks with each one and maybe stabilizing them. We'll see. Heads.
Heads, you gain a token. Um, you're
Nice.
you are still heavily on my tail.
I mean, that's probably why we're so scary. Like even we did train for this. Like we never thought it would actually come up. In a way, Garland is kind of loving it because this is the stuff that we were advertised we were supposed to be doing. But he's also conflicted because he's like, well, if I catch up to you, then I have to actually, apprehend you, and I maybe don't want to do that. But he has to lead the squad too, so
Got it. Okay, so this
he's
is
feeling all sorts of feelings right now.
got it. So we are on challenge 3, which is an admission. Um, just looking at these. So so again, we've established this is these are like windy box canyons.
Mhm.
I think I think yeah. So she runs, so again, it's twisty. It's hard to maintain a clear visual.
Mhm.
Um, she sends her frame down to blind alley that she knows has basically a natural screen. But as she does, she drops a hollow projector that
Mhm.
is projecting the image of her frame continuing to go down the main path. So, my admission is I risk leaving the trail and standing quiet while you race past. Throw. On heads, you spot me and don't overshoot, and so take 2 tokens.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're in such a hurry, to try to catch up to you. Then we're not being particularly cautious. Again, like we're smashing our way through this canyon. So, and visibility is really poor with all of this snow and like all of this darkness. So we do see a glint of something, and we're like, "Is that her up ahead?" And I'll flip the coin. Heads again. It loves
It's
heads.
again okay. Loves heads, so yeah, that's the heads are good for you, bad for me. So you gain 2 tokens.
Yeah, so we're about to head past it, and you think that you fooled us. And then at the back of the squad, Kenya turns and activates um, her autocannon. She's like, who's there? And there's like an arc of fire over her head. Freeze, don't move.
Yeah. And like looking at Sierra's, she sees on
Yeah,
her scanner she sees on on her scanner your active search radar
yeah.
and she goes, "Damn it." Um and she
Rat
leaps
it.
um as so she leaps up again. I think she fires her chain gun in your direction as well. Lands on the wall of lands on a very narrow switchback trail that's leading back up to the ledge. So I lead a dizzying course through switchback and blind. Follow me if you want, but throw. On tails, you're lost and won't be able to find your own way back.
Hey, come on, Tails. I actually want a different result. Yes. So whatever you just described works very well. I think even like maybe the fact that we activate all of these weapons, they're a little too over eager now that they've almost apprehended you. So Tangent probably activates his missile silo and it like explodes everywhere. Rocks come raining down and we have to like hold up our shields to protect ourselves. And when the dust finally clears, we're like, where the hell did she go? Like search you climb up on top of the ravine and you go over there and yeah, it's just chaos.
Got it. Okay, so
So you get away.
That was the end of maybe.
Yeah.
Ending the chase. After a total of 4 challenges and admissions, compare tokens.
Oh.
If you have more tokens than the hunter, you break away and escape. I have 0 tokens.
I have 3.
You have 3. If the hunter has as many tokens as you, choose 1. Oh, I'm sorry. This is your that's right. And it's the quarry that leads this. So I've been leading this.
All right, so you're in a bad situation, I guess.
So I'm in a bad situation. So I have to choose one of these options, and the options are I've somehow turned myself around and I blunder into you. I've come to some temporary security, a warren, a tree to climb, or a door I can lock behind me. This is where I go to ground. You've driven me into a blind way and have cornered me. Your allies have cut me off, and I brought 2. I'm exhausted and you overtake me. You've proven yourself and I let you catch me. And I think I'm going to take option 2. Excuse me. I've come to a temporary security, a warren, a tree to climb, a door I can lock behind me, and this is where I go to ground. And I think I know that I think I know of where there's a large hidden cave that's just barely big enough to hide a mobile frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I also know that the kinds of rocks here are mostly impervious to most scanning techs. So if I go in here, I'm not gonna show up on your radar. The downside is I'm stuck here and can't make the rendezvous.
Yeah, and we're just actively searching the area, but there's so many caves and like again, our radar system is going like crazy and everything that it takes the better part of the afternoon. So you can't get away, but we can't find you.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll be a good time for August to show up with their people or do something else.
Yep. And so I think what I do is so while I'm if it's impervious to radar, it's probably impervious to radio, so I can't send a signal to let you know where I am.
Yeah. You're probably seen over unless you lit up a flare or something beforehand, but then that might have revealed your position too. So
yeah, I don't think I did. I mean, there was there's probably plenty of reports of of like a chase through the ravines, which you could probably pick up on radio chatter, but you don't.
Oh yeah, we're not maintaining radio silence at all. We're actively shouting back to our squadrons that there was this escapee that ran into this ravine. So I'm sure that the Bantreash could pick up on that if you wanted.
Yep.
So that's a good place to cut the scene, and then
yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the end of the scene. So yeah, that's the end of the scene. So Chris, it is now over to you. You get to pick a minigame. We don't have to pick this up right here. We can just say, we can like say it's some matter of time in the future, things blew over and, Sierra got away and eventually we eventually we rendezvoused, or we can pick it up right, or you can pick it up right here. It's really up to you.
Or maybe like a flashback too, even.
You could
Like,
absolutely do a flashback. That is also totally cool.
Hmm. Hmm. This feels like I mean, if I'm picking it up immediately, feels like I'm meeting sword to sword.
maybe.
But I don't like
Absolutely.
that, actually.
It could be another solitaire scene too, like we figure out what
Yeah,
you
but
were
I
up
don't want to do
to.
but I don't want to do a solitaire
Yeah.
scene.
Or alternatively, you just show up with your squad and suddenly it's a free for all or
It's a
skirmish or
free-for-all
something.
or a tactical skirmish.
Or everybody just
What
starts dancing
is
and
what is the difference?
Okay. So, yeah, they're conducted a little differently. Um, so with a tactical skirmish, it's just between two factions. It's between you and your chosen partner. Um,
could
so
be an
you determine who is the attacker, and who's the defender. You establish how this battle came about. Um,
could also be an animated disagreement too if you want to parlay, like maybe to try to break whatever siege we're
that is
setting
true.
up.
Could be yeah, that is one way. So yeah,
Whatever you're most interested in.
so the way a tactical skirmish is, so basically each of you you name your objective for the skirmish, um, and you take turns making demands of each other. The attacker goes first. And when you make a demand, you choose whether to demand a submission or a withdrawal. Um, and then there's basically and there's a pick list of demands and consequences. And then so you make a demand. So one makes a demand, and then you know one side makes a demand, and then the other like makes the decision as to like how that's going to go.
Hmm.
The way the free for all works is sort of like is a little like that, but that is definitely much more action oriented. Where it's like a bunch of mobile frames are like doing a bunch of actions, or you pick your quarry, you pick your action, and then they decide whether they decide like they pick from the responses, how how that particular
I
individual
guess it
conflict
depends,
goes.
like, would we already be so hostile that we immediately start shooting at each other? Is there like this a territorial dispute? Like we're trying to secure the area and you're like, technically this is our territory. And because we want to wait till there's fire support and you probably want us to get gone so you can secure your VIP. Well, you can do what you want. I don't want, but
Yep. And again,
Sorry,
we
I
don't
got a
have to
DM
pick
in
up.
the middle of that and got distracted. Can you?
Yeah.
yeah.
So and again, you don't have to pick it up right here. You can just decide. We can
No,
just
but
decide to narrate how this ends, and we can like go to a different kind of scene.
I I mean, I think either. Actually, no, you're right. I think it's more interesting to cut to the conversation over dinner between because, like, okay, let's imagine that the skirmish takes place. Like, no matter what, if my cousin gets to me, there's no way my hands are clean now. So I think it's more interesting to cut to the consequences, to the breakdown in negotiations that results between uh the Bantreash and the landowners.
Sure.
Okay.
So
So
what
uh,
kind
so
of
so
scene
which
would that be?
yeah. So I mean, there's the animated disagreement is a possibility. Um,
How do they work? I feel like
which is kind of
I'm
like
real.
a public debate, but which is kind of like a public debate, although it's not necessarily public.
I guess
Whereas
it
in
depends on how civil this
Yeah.
is.
So the
I'm
animated
really
Yeah.
disagreement
chafing
that
against
is
the
so
structure of
that
this game in a way I was not anticipating.
Yeah.
yeah, so the animated disagreement is that's structured between the two individuals who are basically making, points and counterpoints. The third, the remaining characters who aren't in the scene act as the audience, whether they are physically there or if they're the audience watching at home. And it's the audience that determines basically who is the winner of the given exchange, and they award tokens. And then whoever at the end and after, I think it's 3 rounds, whoever has the most, basically everyone gets a chance to do animated disagreements.
I mean, that might work
Yeah.
if the argument is over who should have custody of this cousin, right? Because technically he
So
escaped from our prison, but maybe we kidnapped him without, the proper procedures and stuff, and also it's not on our territory. Uh,
looking at the challenge, so the examples of the challenges from an animated disagreement are things like um, explain how your position is best for the most people. Explain how your position carries the weight of tradition, law, and social order. Explain how your position is the most urgent and expedient. So the way that works is, so the audience takes turns posing challenges to the position leaders. Both position holders must answer each challenge. The audience decides who go first, and then once each have answered, the audience awards a token to who they determine was the winner of that one. And you basically go, yeah, and you and the audience poses 3 challenges. So it's not necessarily a public debate, but it's like kind of an abstracted version of how two people are conducting an argument.
Hmm.
So you could do this as a negotiation. You could do this, so that's a
if we're
possibility.
trying to avoid bloodshed, how do we resolve this
Exactly.
semi-amicably?
Or this
Right.
could
Oh,
be,
right. No. Okay. No. You know what this? Well. Hmm. Because there's
or it could,
there's a way to tip this out to we are both trying to prevent war.
Mhm.
I don't think that's a would that be a disagreement? Like I
Well, from our perspective, it's like, listen, we have a job to do. I get that he's your cousin, but he is under our jurisdiction. We have to take him back. It would be best to do that without getting into a big drawn out fight about it. Nobody wants that. But we are obligated to take him back to jail.
okay, then we're having the disagreement.
Yeah. Whereas you might be like, just hand him over and you can look the other way or whatever and say he escaped. Or I don't know what your argument would be.
Argument would be that his conviction was false to begin with, but setting that aside, any
Yeah.
reason you might have held him, any information he
Mm.
may have had, any value he may provide you as a prisoner can be negotiated for
Yeah.
on
I
fair
think that
terms.
might work as an argument because Garland is conflicted, and he's like, "Yeah, you're right. The bosses probably, did steal him from his bed, or something like that, or the extraordinary renditioned him." So he sees some logical argument about that, but he has to maybe convince his squad, because if he just goes to your side, they'll be like traitor, and you're breaking your contract and everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's
okay,
kind of
so
between a rock and a hard place here.
Well,
got it. Okay, so we're starting the animated disagreement. Okay, I'm gonna follow the procedure here.
I feel like
So
we've
that's
already
that's the
started
position
it.
basically the position is so you're attempting to negotiate what happens to your cousin. Um,
Who is
and
currently in Bantreash, who
who's
currently
currently,
back with the Bantreash,
yeah. So I guess the
but
question,
yeah,
so
we
the,
know
so
they
the,
know where he is and they want him back.
yeah, so so the question is like, where is this debate happening? It generally assumes that you're like in some kind of like negotiating room or like,
Well, I guess the
some kind
question
of
is yours
place.
or mine, Alex.
I mean, it could even be like that cave, where Sarah took them. I think it's technically
Yeah.
on disputed territory or something.
And and it doesn't necessarily have to be now. It could be like, some
Mm.
number of days later, you're having this negotiation like person to person somewhere. Or, it could be in the field, like, when you're like shouting at each other over the PA systems on your mobile frames. It's kind of up to you on how you want to set the scene. But these don't necessarily have to follow like, these scenes don't necessarily have to follow like,
I kind of like
immediately
that it's
upon each
face to
other.
face, actually, because like I'm not sure Garland would want his squad to overhear everything. Um,
If you wanted to be in the field, maybe, like both sides like put up like white flags of parley, and there's, like someone has like plunked a table in the field and you're like sitting across from each other. Or it's back at someone's headquarters.
or even like field tents or something set up.
Field tents. Oh,
Like it,
field tents. That's cool.
yeah,
Somebody's field tent. But
it's
Chris,
freezing. Yeah.
This is
I'm
your scene, so
I'm
you get to
fighting the
decide.
temptation to have invited you to the same restaurant or like but I
Again, it's
don't
your scene,
but I
yeah.
no, but I don't think the optics of that are quite right. But like I definitely think I'm reaching out to you personally, Garland.
Was it based on maybe he's definitely a little flattered that you even know who he is. Do you talk
It
about his
might be
reputation
actually.
in some way
I do
or
like the idea of a freezing tent because like there's a couple versions of this in my head. There's the like,
Yeah.
no, like I'm you the official whoever has come to it, and then there's the version of this that's like, hey, leave this out of your report.
Yeah.
I'll owe you one.
So I guess the question. So again, the question is like, so need to set the scene. Like, where is this? So the ghost sounds like we want the negotiation to be like between the two people, between you
Mhm.
two individuals. Um, Field tent near where this battle took near where this near where the skirmish took place.
Yeah, I think no, I think what happened is that like we are on the brink of skirmish. Like my squad has arrived, your squad
Mhm.
has arrived. We are on the brink of skirmish. I have called for.
Yeah.
Well, for parley.
Everybody had weapons charged, and you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No,
We
parlay.
can talk through this. This is
Mhm.
one life, and that's a huge gamble on my part, but it pays
Mhm.
off.
So everyone
Yeah,
powers
because
down their weapons. You exit your
mhm.
mobile frames, and you're like going into a field
Yeah,
tent to
and we
negotiate.
are doing that. We are doing this in a tent in the shadow of two groups of giant robots ready to blow us to smithereens.
Love it.
For sure.
Okay, we've got the scene. So conducting the discussion. The audience, who's going to be me, conducts the discussion. So I'm going to take turns posing challenges to the position leaders. Both position leaders must answer each challenge. I decide who goes first, um, or let one of them volunteer. Once both have answered, award a coin to who you think gave the best answer. I have to choose.
So are
Um,
coins tokens?
co
Is there?
I guess they're
I
tokens, yeah.
kind of so
Okay.
I modified a I modified a character keeper that was made for another
Okay.
for
So
another game,
yes,
and
they're
used token.
tokens.
So
Okay.
tokens and coins are used interchangeably because
Got
one
it.
used tokens and the other one used coins, and I kind of
Yeah.
use the same language. So
That's fine. I just need to know one way or the
yep,
other.
yep. Coins and tokens are the same thing. Okay,
Got it.
so
All right. What would I have heard about your reputation? Because it also does say that. Like, what do
yep.
we notice about each other?
Well, I mean, you're willing to parlay, which is huge for
Hmm.
me, the guy
Hmm.
who loves to talk.
Yeah. And yeah, I have heard that you're eloquent, but also honorable and stuff. Probably.
Sure. I mean, there's also a version of this where we have not heard of each other at all. Because like
That's true, yeah.
you're operating the next province over in the prison.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense actually. Like
But I
I
like
was
framing
really
this as first
reluctant to
impressions.
fight, but the fact that you immediately were like, no, let's negotiate. He's looking for an out here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess I will pick the first challenge, and I think this will go to I think this is going to go to I think we're going to start with Garland. Um, since you're basically demanding the return.
Hmm.
How is your position best for the most people?
Look, I want to thank you for your offer of terms here. Like, I'm just everyone's just trying to do their job and go home, right? None of us need to fight. It's very clear what needs to happen here. Um, I understand that he's related to you. I understand what my contract stipulates. That's all above my head. I just want to make sure that my people go home safe. I'm sure you feel the same about your squad. Nobody has to die here, okay? Let's just work this out.
Of course. Just let him go.
I can't. Well, I don't know if that goes into the next argument or whatever.
I mean,
If I let him go, then that's just going to cause a further conflict later, right? If we bring him back to the jail, everything's going to be the same as it was yesterday. It'll be resolved.
Is the life of this one asset worth three or four of your squad mates and three or four of your mobile suits? I don't think so.
Yeah, but is the life of three or four of your people, because my people are pretty good in a fight, worth the 10 or 50 or 100 people who will die in the next battle between our two factions? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense over one guy.
that sounds like you've both made your positions.
Yeah.
You know, you're both being I am going to I think I as the audience, I think I'm going to give this one I think I'm going to get so the how is your position best for the most people? I'm going to give this one to the Bantreash. I'm going to give this one to August just because like taking the prisoner and going is probably going to do the best for the most people because you know you do the landowners really need to hold this one guy?
Well, see, I was actually going to give it to Alex.
Oh,
Well, it's
okay.
it's Mike's choice,
That's my
so.
choice,
Yeah,
but
no, and I was letting you choose, but like, just to argue against myself a little bit here. Uh, like I think he's right, and that like letting the landowners walk away because the objective was never like my objective was get my cousin back.
Mhm.
But we're that like on in the actual if we step one step out from that, the prison break still happened.
Yeah.
Like
yep.
other people got away scot free. And if I let my cousin go, then I can go back to the revolutionaries. One, first of all, Garland will owe me one. B, I can go be aggrieved to the revolutionaries and make demands over there.
The question is like who is like which position was best for the most people? And yeah, I think I'm still gonna. I think I am going to still award it to August just because looking at these positions, I think that's probably going to cause the least amount of immediate. I think that's going to cause the least amount of immediate blowback.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
So my next question. Do, 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 do. Now, how is how is your position the most just and equitable? And I think I'll start with August on this one.
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. That's an interesting question in terms
Hmm.
like I as a Bantreash would argue that it's just inequitable because we're like it's restoring the actual status quo, and then you would
Hmm.
fire back with the I'm doing too much. But okay, I'll
Hmm.
say that uh if you let him go, we'll owe you one. We'll make the like it's better for us because we get our guy
Hmm.
back. B, it's better for you because now we owe you a favor.
If I could
And
interject, and if I could,
that's equity.
and if I
Hmm.
could interject, was he actually guilty of doing any wrongdoing?
That was going to be my point. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
listen.
totally forgot that he was like
Yeah.
involved at all.
Look, I
No,
don't know
he
your
wasn't. He was
cousin
guilty of
or
owning a factory,
yeah, what he
which
was
if you ask
accused
the
of, but
revolutionaries is a crime, but I don't think you or I believe
yeah,
that.
but I'm like, yeah, he must have been in that jail for a reason. Like I'm just a soldier. I don't make these kind of decisions. Okay, but somebody charged him and arrested him, and if he's innocent, you guys can work it out with your lawyers, right? But I can't just choose who gets to go free or not.
What
That's not how it
lawyers?
works.
What due process? Did like that would that all of that would have to involve the TTA, and that would be
And
bad for everybody.
I kind of blanch when you say that. Yeah. Uh, but regardless, it's the law.
Is it? Is it though?
That's your decision.
I, the player, was under the impression that that the landowners just kind of like grabbed him to pump
Oh
him for
yeah,
information.
no, and I could.
Yeah,
He's right. There is a higher authority I could dispute this with, but no one wants that.
Nobody wants to
right.
bring them in. So
That
you're
seems like a pretty strong argument, actually.
yep,
It very much undercut what I was saying.
Hmm.
yep. So I think we're gonna end. I think we're gonna hand this one over to the Bantreash as well, just because I think we established that the landowners just kind of grabbed him for under no pretext other than they he had information that he didn't want to give, and we could.
Yeah, I mean that totally makes sense too that August is winning because this is your wheelhouse, right? You're the diplomat here.
Yeah,
I'm just like the guy who guards stuff.
And so the final so I think the fi so I'm guessing that it sounds like this negotiation is kind of not going well.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I'm going to throw I think I'm going to throw the third and final challenge of please make a personal attack on your opponent.
I
Who
refuse.
who
Ooh.
starts?
Yeah, I was going to I was going to throw it to I was going to throw it to August. So like make a personal attack. Please make a personal attack on your opponent. I refuse is a perfectly honest response.
You've conducted yourself with nothing but a diplomat's poise. I have empathy for the position you're
Yeah,
in,
I don't know. It just
sir.
Okay,
doesn't
you know
Wink,
what?
it doesn't
wink.
really feel true to the scene.
I am going to withdraw that, and I'm going to instead pose. Please explain how the other position does have merit and is worthy of consideration.
Ooh, ooh, that's good. That's way better, actually.
Look,
Uh,
nobody wants to get the
yeah.
TTA involved. You're right. Like my bosses are constantly saying that. Uh, but I'm just in a bind here. I understand what you're saying. I could look the other way. Uh, But if it comes back, I don't care so much about myself, but if it comes back on my squad, I would feel responsible. You got to understand that, right?
Of course. Of course I have empathy for your position as a good leader and a good man. But I think you have to acknowledge that what your bosses want is not what's best for the people here. And I'm willing to work with you to protect your people in this instance. But I want you to think long and hard about what you're actually fighting for.
I feel like I just concede if that's permissible.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. You've both made your. I mean,
Yeah.
you have both addressed the challenge, and I think August gets at least two, definitely three tokens here. So
Yay.
It
August
definitely
wins.
ends with him extending his hand.
Yeah. So ending the discussion after three challenges, compare coins. Whoever has whichever proportion of coins they each hold, they can be confident that were they forced to commit the same problem to the audience, real or imaginary, would side with them. So sounds like the Bantreash are the Bantreash win the argument, and I think if it's cool with Alex, hand, y'all hand the cousin over.
Yeah, I think most of my squad are relieved that we don't have to fight. But Tungsten is really pissed off about it, and that might come back to bite me in the later.
Mm.
Got it.
Because
Okay,
he probably has suffered in battle against the Bantreash,
nice.
or at least was eager to fight them, and he doesn't know why I just let you walk off.
Got it. Okay, well, cool. We are pretty much at time here. Each of us had a chance to frame a scene and play out a mini game. We also each had a chance to do solitaire. So I think we're going to end this session. We can pick it up here again next week, and I guess it's going to be back to me to pick a new mini game. I'm thinking probably next week we'll be able, since we won't have to go over the rules and won't have to do the safety
Yeah.
talk. I'm guessing next week we'll probably each get to do two mini games. Um, so yeah, you folks have. I know we are at time. Do you folks have time to do? Um, um, I like to do a round of stars and wishes, although I generally prefer to do that off camera. So I think I'm gonna end the recording here. But if you have time and would like to stick around after I stop the recording, I'd like to do a round of stars and wishes.
Sure.
That's
Sounds
okay
good
with
to
you
me.
folks. Okay, I am ending the recording here. If there was anybody watching, thanks for watching.